Okay, so you shared this really interesting raw recording with us. It's like a live online show. Keith, John, Marty.
Yeah, that's the one.
And man, they cover everything. Personal stories, fitness talk, nutrition stuff, even guests popping in. It's quite a mix.
It really is. A bit all over the place, but in a, interesting way.
Definitely. So our mission here for you listening is basically to sift through all that chat. We want to pull out the key bits, the surprising facts, the stuff that makes you think.
Save you some time, basically. We're doing the listening, finding those nuggets of insight from this very lively conversation.
Exactly. And hopefully have a bit of fun doing it. So let's just dive right in. The first thing that really stopped me was Keith mentioning chewing gum.
Chewing gum, okay.
Yeah. He said it's been around for over 10,000 years.
Wow. 10,000, really?
Yeah. I mean, that's ancient. So the plan is to kind of trace that journey, from old tree sap to, well, whatever gum is today.
Okay. I'm intrigued. It seems so simple, but 10,000 years is a long time for a habit.
Right. And Keith even mentioned, maybe partly joking, maybe not, people chewing on birch bark way back.
Birch bark, huh?
Yeah, like actually chewing tree bark.
Well, it's not as crazy as it sounds. There's actual archaeological evidence for that. And birch bark actually contains stuff like betulin and lupiol, which, well, studies show they have antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects. So maybe it wasn't just, boredom. It might have actually done something good.
Huh? So ancient health gum. Who knew? Then, okay, fast forward a long way to the 1840s. Suddenly you get this boom. Spruce gum.
Right, the sort of modern starting point.
Yeah, and that leads to early brands, some we still kind of know. Juicy Fruit, Dentine, and Keith mentioned beech nut.
Ah, okay, yes. And that was actually a good little correction in the original chat, wasn't it?
Oh, right. What was it?
John jumped in and pointed out that beech nut chew is actually chewing tobacco, not gum.
Oh, okay. Good catch by John. So not gum, but the beech nut company has been around ages.
Exactly. A small detail, but important when you're tracing the history.
For sure. But now, okay, let's jump to today. This is where it gets a bit weird. Apparently, one stick of modern gum can release hundreds of microplastics when you chew it.
Hundreds from one piece. Wow.
Yeah. And it's not just the obviously artificial stuff. Even some supposedly natural gums might not be totally clear. There are studies linking gum chewing to increased phthalate exposure too.
That's quite a shift, isn't it? From chewing on like natural tree bark with potential benefits to chewing on something that might be releasing microplastics into your system. It really makes you think about how everyday things have changed.
Totally. I mean, we went from natural stuff to plastic. What does that even say about like where we're at?
It's a big question. Convenience, cost, mass production, they all play a role. But it seems like we're only now starting to really grapple with some of the maybe unintended consequences, like these microplastics.
Yeah, it definitely makes you pause. On a lighter note, though, John told this funny story.
Okay.
About his youngest daughter. Trying to teach her not to swallow her gum.
Ah, the classic struggle.
Totally. He said it took months because it gets soft and she'd just gulp. Gone. He was saying, like, she's a smart kid, but just couldn't get that simple thing of not swallowing it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I can picture that. It's funny how some basic things take time for kids to master, isn't it? That present moment awareness.
Exactly. So thinking about this whole journey, birch bark to microplastics.
Yeah.
What's next for gum? Like any ideas on future, I don't know, innovations, or maybe just more concerns?
That's a great question. Maybe we'll see a pushback towards more natural biodegradable bases, or maybe other concerns will pop up. Who knows? It's such a small thing, gum, but it has this really complex story.
Okay, let's switch it up. From chewing to drinking. Milk.
Milk. Okay, another daily staple.
Yeah, and Keith brought up how whole milk seems to be making a comeback.
Right, after it was sort of canceled, as he put it, for being too fatty.
Exactly. It wasn't that long ago. Skim was, like, the thing. It shows how fast nutritional advice, or at least popular opinion, can change, doesn't it? What was bad is now maybe good again. Or at least not as bad.
For sure. And he also talked about just the sheer variety of milk now.
Oh, totally.
It used to be pretty simple, right? Whole skim, maybe 1% or 2%.
Yeah.
Now you go in the store and it's just, wow, oat milk, almond, soy, coconut, rice milk. It's endless.
And George Jansen, or Jory, who seemed to be the nutrition expert there.
Right, Jory.
She made a good point that this variety probably just reflects how diverse we are. Different needs, different preferences, allergies, choices.
Yeah, that makes sense. Keith even did this funny little role play asking Jory, so is dairy milk bad?
And what did she say?
The classic nutritionist answer, right? Yes and no.
Of course.
Because it really depends on the person. Allergies, lactose intolerance.
Yeah.
You can't just make a blanket statement.
Exactly. It's never one size fits all with food. What works great for one person might cause problems for someone else.
And then John brought up something else important, the quality of the milk.
Yeah.
He was concerned about potential toxicity, like high estrogen levels in a lot of conventional milk in the U.S. Yeah. He was drawing a line between that and like real organic whole milk.
That's a really significant point. How the cows are raised, what they're fed, potential hormones used in conventional farming that can all potentially affect the milk itself.
Yeah, the hormones and pesticides, right? That's usually the concern.
Precisely. Even if there are regulatory limits, some people just prefer to minimize exposure by choosing organic or pasture raised. It's a valid consideration.
Then Keith, being Keith, claimed he once drank milk straight from the udder.
Did he really?
I don't know. John and Marty sounded pretty skeptical. I think it was just Keith telling a story.
Probably.
Yeah.
But it's a funny image, kind of reminds you where milk actually comes from, even if most of us are totally removed from that now.
True. So I think the big takeaway here, listening to them, is really about checking things out for yourself. Don't just jump on a bandwagon because you saw something on Instagram or TikTok. Like John said, maybe a social media post gets you interested, but then you got to ask, okay, does this actually work for me?
That's such good advice. Use it as a starting point, maybe, but then do your own homework. Listen to your body. Talk to a professional if you need to.
And they also touched on all the alternative milks, oat, almond, etc. Jory figured it's driven by, well, partly by choice, like veganism.
Sure.
But also partly by people thinking they're healthier, whether the science fully backs that up yet or not.
Yeah, the perception of health is powerful. People want to feel like they're making good choices, and sometimes trends get ahead of the solid evidence.
John mentioned his personal choice is coconut milk.
Oh, okay.
Said it satisfies his fat boy milk cravings.
Yeah.
Like the sweetness he remembered from having milk and cookies as a kid.
That's interesting how those early food memories and associations stick with us and influence what we reach for later. Comfort food is real.
Totally. And Jory kind of tied it all up by saying, look, it's about the complete lifestyle.
Right, the bigger picture.
Yeah, don't just fixate on demonizing one food group. Think of your whole diet, activity, everything together.
Such a crucial point. We tend to zoom in on one thing is dairy good, is gluten bad, but health is way more holistic than that.
So, for you listening, when you're standing there looking at that massive wall of milk options, how do you even start to figure out what's best for you? It's definitely not as simple as it used to be.
It really isn't. It takes some critical thinking, some self-awareness, asking yourself, any allergies, intolerances? How do I feel after drinking this kind versus that kind? What does reliable science say? It's kind of an ongoing experiment, really.
Okay, one more shift. From food and drink to a specific practice. Fasting.
Fasting. Always a popular topic.
Yeah, this guy Ryan Palmer was on, sharing his experience. He tried a 5-day fast.
5 days is pretty intense. How'd it go?
He gave up on day 3.
Happens. It's tough.
Totally. His reasons were, trying to cut for summer, test his willpower.
Yeah.
And he was really fascinated by some YouTuber talking about how amazing watermelon tastes after a long fast.
Yeah, I've heard that. Taste buds get reset or something. Or maybe just the sheer relief of eating again makes everything taste incredible.
Could be. But John had an interesting take on fasting. He felt it should ideally have, like, a mental or maybe even spiritual side to it, not just be about the physical stuff.
That adds another layer, doesn't it? Beyond weight loss or autophagy or whatever the buzzwords are. For some, it's about discipline, clarity, maybe something deeper.
Yeah. And Ryan actually mentioned something surprising. He said he had more energy while he was fasting.
More energy while not eating? That seems backward.
Right. He found he could focus better on work. But John had an idea about that.
Oh, yeah. What was his thought?
He suggested that maybe the reason Ryan felt more energetic fasting was because his usual diet wasn't giving him good energy. Maybe it was full of, John called them toxic foods.
Interesting. So taking away the potentially problematic foods actually resulted in more stable energy.
That seemed to be the idea. John recommended focusing on single ingredient foods. Just meat, just vegetables, things that aren't heavily processed.
Right. Getting back to basics. minimizing additives, refined sugars, stuff that can cause energy spikes and crashes.
And Ryan even chimed in that he'd felt great previously on a diet that was mostly just steak and eggs.
Which fits right into that single-ingredient, nutrient-dense idea.
Exactly. John really hammered home that the body craves nutrients, not just empty calories. And also, critically, having a good plan for breaking the fast. A nutritious exit strategy, he called it.
Oh, that's crucial. You can't just go from zero food to a massive, heavy meal. Your system needs gentle reintroduction to food, preferably nutritious food.
So for the listener, the takeaway seems to be, think about why you're making certain dietary choices. Are you just chasing a trend? Or are you really paying attention to how different foods or practices like fasting actually make you feel? Your energy, your focus.
Precisely. It's about moving beyond just the rules of a diet and tuning into your own body's feedback. That connection Ryan made between fasting energy and feeling good on steak and eggs is pretty telling.
Yeah. Which leads to kind of a final question on this for you listening. Could maybe just trying to eat more single-ingredient meals, even for a bit, give you some clues about what really fuels your body best?
That's a really practical thought. It cuts through a lot of the noise, doesn't it? Just simplify things, eat whole foods, and see what happens. Listen to your body's response.
Okay, wow. We covered quite a bit there, didn't we? Let's try and pull it all together.
Yeah, it was a real journey. We started with chewing gum, something so small, but with this incredibly long history, right? From maybe beneficial birch bark
to modern stuff, potentially shedding microplastics.
Yeah.
It really makes you question our relationship with natural versus synthetic things.
Definitely. Then we got into milk, which is clearly way more complicated now than just got milk. So many options, so many individual factors.
Yeah, the main thing there is thinking for yourself. Right. Don't just follow the crowd online. Figure out what works for your body, your lifestyle.
Exactly. And finally, fasting. We saw it's not just about weight loss. It can really shine a light on how your regular diet impacts your energy, your focus.
And the importance of nutrient quality over just calories and really understanding what your body needs. So we really hope this deep dive gave you some surprising bits of info, maybe some things you can actually use or think about more, kind of a shortcut to being up to speed on these topics.
Yeah, hopefully spark some curiosity. And maybe a final thought to leave you with.
Okay.
Think about one thing you do every day or eat every day that seems totally mundane. You don't even think about it.
Brushing your teeth or your morning coffee.
Could be anything. What's the real story behind it? The history, the different viewpoints, the hidden implications you might be missing? What little deep dive could you do for yourself?